You know what I do in my downtime. I typically I make my downtime, especially when I'm getting stuff done. I try to connect it with quality relationships.
Mm, yeah.
In other words, people who are gonna refill my tank, who
Mm,
gonna energize me. Just I mean, we don't have to be talking about whatever
yeah.
I'm working on, but it's just even if I shift gears, have this conversation with this person or meeting, so to speak, it's I know when I go into this meeting, I'm gonna walk away a better person just because every time I'm with this person in this person presence, I leave better.
Mm,
Those
yeah.
are the meetings I'm setting up. Like, hey
Yeah.
man, let's
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk a little while. Yeah, let's talk after this.
Welcome to MetaVersed, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrels navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
I was
You
like,
know
I was
what?
like, did he freeze? Are we frozen?
You know, I
That was
just
pretty good. That
I
was
hit
good.
I hit record and I was like, you know what? I'm just not gonna say anything.
Yeah. I was looking like, okay, no waves. I don't see any sound waves going.
Yeah, yeah. How you doing, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great. I am crazy encouraged, man. Let me just say, just off the bat, dude, there's this passage in one of the wisdom books called Proverbs. It says, you know, as iron sharpens iron, so does another man sharpen another. And
Mhm.
dude, I'm just such a better man because of you, bro.
Oh, dude. Man, that's
I'm just yeah. The business conversation that we had, just you know, all right, Jay, like what's some stuff you need to take off your plate? The depth of that statement, that question, and what that's done for me is, I began to look at, hey, I read the book Rocket Fuel, and think through that a lot, but it's nothing like having a friend just practically ask you some questions to make stuff go deeper, that you already have some remnants of seeds that's already been planted. And man, just the idea of, man, well, like, what is it like not to reinvent the wheel? I think a lot of times
Mm,
from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'm looking at this car that I want and that I'm envisioning that I have built now. It's like, man, I need some wheels. And
mm.
man, most of my weeks and months are trying to build wheels. And like, dude,
Mm.
if you just go down the street,
Yeah.
that person already have wheels. Like
Yeah. And you'll be blessing them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
man, and in turn, that'll help you do what you do well. Because when
Mhm.
you're not a wheel builder, it's maybe you need to be a wheeled. Why keep you saying wheeled? A wheel buyer. Don't build it, buy it.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a village,
Absolutely.
and yeah, and we gotta let people shine, and let me throw that right back at you. I mean, I am being sharpened constantly by you, and it's interesting because as the dynamics of this relationship have taken shape, um, I found I found that there's other people that I'm also connecting with in a similar fashion,
Yeah.
and man, it's like the value that you guys are breathing into my life is is unparalleled to anything I've experienced. I mean, this
Mm.
is it's so good. And then I'm having the opportunity. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm being breathed into a lot, but then I'm also getting the opportunity to breathe into other people.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear that that's a reciprocating thing from your perspective, but also like, man, there's like in Horizon Worlds, there's conversations that are coming up that that I'm able to just share an observation with people,
Yeah.
and they're being received. You know, so and some of these are tough observations. Some of these are tough things where it'll just be a question to somebody, and I see massive change. Okay, I got to share one example because this guy, there's a guy in there that's building another social or another virtual reality platform.
Okay.
It's called Utopia VR,
Mm.
um, and this guy has been pouring his life into the pursuit of virtual reality for 30 years. And like before any of us even knew it was a thing, he's been going
Wow.
after it. And he and his board of directors have invested substantial development time and substantial money into building out this platform. Well, he's in there, and he's in Horizon Worlds, and he's um, starting to bring people or to build interest in it.
Yeah.
But there was a piece of it too that he was giving people an opportunity to invest.
Mm.
And like I saw some of my friends that were leaning towards investing, and also encouraging other people to invest, and it something just didn't feel right about it.
Yeah.
You know, basically, what actually, it's not something didn't feel right about it. What didn't feel right about it is there's incredible risk associated with what he's talking about doing.
Yeah.
It's a very low probability venture.
Mm.
To say that, you know, the small guy is going to take on some of these big companies, you know, and you know it's a tall order. And
Right.
man, I hope he does it, because
Yeah.
I'd love to know the guy, you know.
Right.
But it's a high risk venture, and some of the folks that were looking at investing money, they don't necessarily. Um, I wasn't 100% sure that they understood the risks that
Yeah.
were associated with it. So I had a conversation with the guy. His name's James, and I mean, this is a tough conversation. This is the
Mm.
conversation of, hey, dude, like it feels like you're laying out an investment opportunity for people, and they're not understanding the risks.
Right.
And he completely shifted what he was doing. Like literally, we got off the call, and I got a call from another friend of mine, and it said, hey, um, I just got a message, and James has said stop all solicitation for investment. All we are
Wow.
doing is raising awareness. We are
Wow.
no longer doing any of that piece of it. Excuse me. And I was like, man, what character? What what an incredible dude
Absolutely.
to hear some kind of, like, I mean, that, because that, I'll tell you, that could be taken really poorly. But to hear that and then take immediate 180-degree action, man, it's
Immediately.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great definition of repentance.
Mm, exactly. Yeah,
To
yeah,
hear and immediately turn around,
yeah.
go the other way.
That's right. I think out of your favorite book, there's some there's some
Absolutely.
wisdom on that. Yeah,
Cool
yeah.
beans.
But man, yeah, there's been, and that's my favorite part. That's my favorite part of what's happening right now, is these opportunities to connect with people on a deep and strategic level, and talk about some of these things, and then me myself see things that I can implement and work with, and then and see others implementing things, to see you, man, like to like I feel like I'm witnessing the complete rebirth of Jason Earls, you know,
Wow.
and I've got like this front row seat to it, and it's
Indeed.
incredible, man.
Indeed. Thanks, brother. Yeah, get your popcorn, baby.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
show is starting.
It is, and what a show it's going to be. By the way, dude, you released a video earlier this week about your journey into the metaverse, and you put this thing together, and we're welcoming people to come along with you and experience what you've experienced, and it's so good. Like I watched it, and the quality of editing, which I think, did you edited that
I
yourself?
edited it. Yes, I
My
did.
goodness, man, that's the quality of editing in there is top notch. It's got that kind of rapid fire pace to like shifting around, and like as you reference something, boom, pulling up the reference photo, and
Yeah,
like it's really good. It's really engaging to watch, I felt.
I appreciate it, man. It's sheesh. When I tell you, well, I when I from the time when I had the conception of the idea to the time that I finished it last week, or this week, man, it was just a tough, tough, tough piece, and it was like, man, is this a case where I need to go buy the wheel?
Yeah, yeah.
Or, because building this wheel is taxing, but it was a baby for me because as you and I have started these conversations called Well Metaverse, and man, so many people are intrigued about what's going on in the metaverse,
Mhm,
or if they're in world, they're like, man, how do I become more effective? Or
mhm.
how do I like become a better person as opposed to just sabotaging all of my time. It's just, man, it's so many dynamics going
Yeah,
on in people's head
yeah.
when this thing called the metaverse pops up. And what I noticed, I don't know if it's like you, but when I've been doing interviews or just in conversations and about the metaverse, and I say, let me tell you what it's like. This is
Yeah.
what people do. They say, yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
if you noticed that, but people are engaged. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, like there's an incredible hunger to understand it,
Yeah.
but there's a complete lack of frame of reference. So it's like
Yes.
there's a hunger to understand it, but as soon as we start talking about it, like I've noticed that like it's easy to lose people. Like it's hard for them to grab the frame of reference, and come along on the journey without
Yeah.
being immersed in it. You know.
Exactly. So I just said, man, here is a need, and I have the ability to meet this need with my skills, my production,
Hmm.
editing skills. So it was a few days of making. It was like writing a paper in English class.
Uh,
I went in one day, filmed all the sessions, or filmed all the worlds. The for some reason the Oculus would stop recording, and then I watched it like the energy wasn't there, so I had to go back and record it again. Oh, I missed this. But
yeah.
dude, one of the greatest thing is when I showed up at Soapstone Comedy Club and you were in there. It's like, yo, this is perfect.
Eh, that was so cool because yeah, that wasn't scripted.
Not
That
at
just
all.
like yeah, because I mean it was like, hey, I'm recording, cool, and I'm like, yeah, sure, and yeah, that was a great part of that, because in those conversations that we had with people,
Oh man.
completely unscripted. Oh my goodness, man.
Here's the thing. I said, let me jump in here for 15 minutes. I give myself 15 minutes to record this and then come back and do some editing work.
Yeah,
But when I showed up in the Soapstone, the conversations got so heavy.
yeah.
It was my record time was an hour and 30 minutes. I
Oh
had
wow, yeah.
I had to just end. I was like, I got to get out of here. And I could. There's no way I could have put all those conversations in that video that I did on YouTube.
Right.
But man, it was just so rich. And I just
Yeah.
knew, my wife and I had this conversation yesterday. She said, and we're talking about just my workflow and being effective. And
Mhm.
she said, Jason, you probably would be more effective if you just blocked off all your time and got stuff done. I was like, yes, you're right. But I can't. My wife is very administrative, very
Yeah.
gifted, super wise,
Yeah.
and super disciplined. Don't have any time for like no fluff at all.
That's
Me, on the other
yeah.
hand, I need the fluff. I'm not gonna call it fluff,
Yeah. You're right.
but I need those great distractions because they reset my creative process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I'm planning my workflow, my day, it's let me do this. Here's that block time. I got 45 minutes here. It's like I guess I'm an immature high schooler because I got a 45-minute class, then I need to take a break. I need like
Yeah.
5-10 minutes to hang out. Then
So there's actually research that shows, and this is what I love about this podcast. We talk about books we read and research that we've seen, but we don't ever cite it.
yeah.
Exactly. We're like that one dude said,
Right.
but I know there's some research. So actually, anybody that's listening that happens to be a PhD or somebody, if you want to cite sources and help us with that, give us a call.
Right.
But in the meantime, without the sources, I know there's research that shows that productivity level, especially in regards to creativity,
Yeah.
but your productivity level after a 50-minute session, it just nosedives.
Yeah.
So people need to have, 45, 50-minute work session followed by a 15-minute break, and
Yeah.
then dive back into it. Now, I mean, there's risks with that too. Like, I'm a procrastinator from time to time, and I'd tell you about it, but I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it maybe later.
Right. I wrote this amazing joke about procrastination. I'm not gonna tell it right now, but
There it is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I procrastinate. So the risk is if I get rolling and I hit that 45-minute point and then I take a 15-minute break, that might not be a 15-minute break.
Right.
But to your point, like my wife and me sound like very similar in skill sets and personality as you and your wife.
Right.
Because my wife, I mean, she's a CPA. She's driven. She documents her time throughout the day in 15-minute increments, all
Sheesh.
day, every day. And
It's
and I mean,
amazing.
this lady, when it comes to productivity, this lady could run laps around me without ever breaking a sweat.
Right.
Like, I mean, she's just amazing. And me, like, I need downtime.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta have that because that's where I'm thinking,
Right.
and yeah.
You know what I do in my downtime? I typically I make my downtime, especially when I'm getting stuff done. I try to connect it with quality relationships.
Mm, yeah.
In other words, people who are gonna refill my tank, who are
Mm,
gonna energize me. Just I mean, we don't have to be talking about whatever
yeah.
I'm working on, but it's just even if I shift gears, have this conversation with this person or meeting, so to speak, it's I know when I go into this meeting, I'm gonna walk away a better person just because every time I'm with this person in this person presence, I leave better.
Mm,
Those
yeah.
are the meetings I'm setting up. Like, hey
Yeah.
man, let's
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk a little while. Yeah, let's talk after this. You know
Yeah.
what you're doing at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
and I mean that speaks to who you are. You draw energy from connecting with people. That process of uh, not just anybody. I mean, it's certain
yeah,
people, but that's you will become refreshed by connecting in a genuine way with people.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, man, and but that's so I did that in the soapstone that day. But after a while, it's I started getting drained. That's like I gotta go.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
great, but it's time to go now.
Yep.
So yeah, so I did that, and but it was my perfectionist. The video isn't like what I wanted. It was close, but let me just and I, for all the perfectionists out there, or for the people who like me have this telephobia, the fear of not being good enough. Um, so that fear oftentimes paralyzes me in finishing projects. It's like, it won't be good enough, so let me not do it. I just said, recognizing that, it's like, yo, forget it. What? I don't give in to my fears. There's a verse. It says
Yeah.
like God has not given us that. So that doesn't come from my creator. So let me not give it to it. You know what? It ain't gonna be perfect. I only know one perfect one. And
Yeah.
they killed him. He got up. But so like, man, let me underscore the fact that there's only one perfect one. And so, man, I just like, man, here it is. Here's what I did. I recognized how I was battling that. So I said, let me stop working on this. Let me take a break. I'm
Yeah.
going to create an Instagram post.
Uh,
And the Instagram post said, I'm taking you on a metaverse tour tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
you put that deadline out
Yeah,
there.
I put that deadline on there, boy,
Yeah.
and woo, I was working.
Man, so it's so funny to hear you talk about that struggle because at that exact same moment when you were battling with that, I
Mhm.
was battling with that on this end of things. Our last episode of this was the episode that we recorded live in the Soapstone. That
That's
came
right.
out a week late.
Uh,
And the reason it came out a week late is because I dove into it. It started the editing process, and I'm like, it's just not, you know, and it just it just buried me, this isn't
oh,
good, and
I,
like,
let me just say, while we were recording that, I was thinking, "Ooh, who's gonna edit this?" I was like, "Man, he's gonna need some help editing
Ooh,
this one."
it
I
was
think he can
tough.
handle it because I'm not getting. Because I was gonna edit my part for you, but I was like, just the dynamics. You
Yeah,
got two different recordings
yeah.
in the metaverse. Let me just, if you want to record something in the metaverse, people, get a lunch, get
That's
two
right.
lunches
Yep,
and a dinner. Order Uber Eats
yep,
for the
yep.
next 2 days. That is a
Mhm.
beast to edit.
Yeah, it is, and especially I mean the technical aspects of it because your audio from yours doesn't line up 100% with my audio from mine because
Eh,
the headset is what's processing the audio, so each headset processes it a little bit different. So there's a lag, and so it's from a
mm,
technical aspect, it's hard, but more difficult than that. I mean, you and I, we didn't plan that. We popped
right.
in to a live session.
Yep.
Nobody in there knew we were coming in, and we're like, "All right, we're going to record our podcast." And I mean, there's people jumping on tables. There were some technical glitches where I kept losing connectivity, so I got these
Yeah.
big pop-ups, and there's alerts coming in. There was a lot happening, but and because of that, it weighed me down heavy, and I just I started it, but then I'm like, man, maybe I just don't even do this one.
Yeah.
But then I start working on the next one, and we reference it, So I'm like, oh man, it was like that
Accountability.
Instagram post,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, we reference it, so now I got to put it out there, and
Right.
man, but I think it turned out good. In fact, the conversation that we had in that one um, with Grandma,
Yeah,
that was a good conversation.
it
And
was.
or wait a minute, was Gremlin? Did we have
Gremlin was on my tour.
okay? All right, all right.
What's the guy's name?
Chicken.
Chicken. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. Chicken Head. No, I'm just playing. I don't know. Yeah.
Yep.
Great
Now I'm
dude.
thinking
Great dude,
robot
by the way.
chicken, but it wasn't robot chicken. It was chicken, not Chicken Little. Man.
I don't know. Chicken George.
Chicken Joe. Chicken
Chicken
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Do you
That's
know who
right.
Chicken George is?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Does he
It's
sell
a character.
chicken?
No, it's a character. He's a character in Roots.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. All right.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I love bringing up Roots to my white friends. Like, oh yeah, like the tone just shifts slightly. Like, oh yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
right.
Oh,
Yeah. Speaking of which, I do
yeah.
know Chicken George. I'm just playing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just,
Right.
yeah.
That is
we,
too
we
funny.
did watch Roots in school.
See, there it is, right there.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is right there.
That is too funny. Yeah, just a note to all my white friends. You don't necessarily have to feel the pressure when your black friends bring up Roots. My son's teacher, man, it was so bad. She said, I don't. She said, I just love Roots, and we're looking like, okay. And I love these awkward situations. I was like, really?
What's your favorite part?
She's like, I just love to think if my family lived back then, we would be the ones hiding the slaves. I'm like, okay. Here's another shovel, man. What else would you have to say?
Oh, yeah.
That's too funny. Yeah.
It is funny though, and it is awkward, to get to those points where, here's a cultural reference that you experienced far different than I
Yeah.
did.
Mm-hmm.
When I watched it in my all white country high school, it was a movie.
Yeah.
You thinking back on that movie, it's a completely different thing.
Absolutely.
And I recognize the fact that I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't understand your experience. So it does. It's an awkward feeling of, ooh, I'm outside of my field of knowledge. I'm
Yeah.
outside of my comfort zone. I know this is an important and emotional topic. What do I
What do I do with it?
what do I do? What do I say? I
Just
say,
say
man, I'd be one of the people that were hiding,
no. This is what she said. Roots. Oh, a bunch of crap.
Oh. Yeah.
That movie was a piece of chicken poop. No, but
Best thing that came out of that was reading Rainbow.
So I think the thing that you do is just have more conversations. Like if
Yeah.
that movie is or when that subject comes up, you feel awkward. That's probably indication that there needs to be more conversations about race.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing on stage when I bring race and it gets awkward. It's like, hey, let's stop the show right quick. Or it's, hey, the reason why this is awkward because you probably never had these conversations or haven't had a lot of them to
Yeah.
where you've worked out the awkwardness or even just know even how to feel in the midst of that. So
Well, and I think we've talked about this on this podcast before, but talking to my white friends, the
yeah,
way to gain an understanding is not to have a black friend. It's not to have your black friend and invite your black friend into your world and have them adapt to your world so that you've got a diverse group of people. That's
right,
not it. The way to the way to understand, the way that I've kind of gained some understanding is to me myself become the minority.
Hmm.
There's a great church here in the Grand Rapids area, and there's a men's Bible study that I was going to pre-pandemic, and I was definitely the only white guy that ever walked through.
And you're tall. Yeah.
And I'm tall. I don't get that reference.
No, I'm just saying you stick out. Like you,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
right.
all right, yeah,
Calm down, brother.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
no, yeah. I stuck out not just because I was tall, yeah,
right.
but I mean that uh, that produced understanding that I would have never gathered any other way. And
Yeah.
that developed relationships that I wouldn't have developed any other way. It's probably the biggest example of that. It was Kobe Bryant.
Hmm.
you know, he passed away, and I heard it on the radio, and it was sad,
Yeah.
but to be honest, it was just a thing, and then I went to that men's Bible study,
Mm.
and they went around the room and talked about where they were, and one guy driving down the road. And by the way, these are tough dudes, you know.
I was gonna ask you, paint a picture for me for like the demographic of these men.
Yeah,
So
these are guys. These are guys that have all, um, I mean, they've all experienced gang violence. They've all been involved in things. These are good, God loving men that have lived tough lives.
what's the age range?
Most of them were older. It was a wide range of
Yeah.
ages. There were some young bucks running around, and
Right.
and some old seasoned retired NFL guys. Like
Yeah.
like there was a range, but the majority of them were probably 50s to 60s.
That's a good
You
group,
know,
dude.
oh man, some
Shoot.
wisdom in there. But they went around the room, and these are tough guys talking about when they heard it on the radio driving down the road, they had to pull over and bawl
Yeah.
because that man wasn't, a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
That man was a superhero.
Yeah.
That man embodied what it was to be a black man.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I would have never experienced that piece of it
Right.
if I didn't become the minority and come in and be in someone else's world as opposed to bringing somebody else into my world.
Yeah. For me, it would be like the opposite of that would be, oh, like when just looking back in history when John Lennon died. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, dang, he died.
Right,
But then when you start listening, like, wait a minute, it's a little bit more to this for people.
right, right.
Like, why is it so shocking? Why does it have so much weight, or the aftershock
Yeah,
of his death hits people so hard? And
yeah,
so yeah, that's how Kobe, several several deaths in our community.
yeah.
But I can tell you, man, dude, I'm really curious. Just like for me, I do comedy because of some older black men in my life. It's like, man, that's just if you've never been around a group of solid black men, it's like, dude, it's something special.
It
Like,
just so it really is. Yeah,
it's it's so my dad and my uncles, like seeing those men with integrity who love God, love their wives, excel in their careers, and just when they talk and when they would laugh, that stuff, when they would laugh as a kid, dude, it was like,
yeah,
that's what it did to my soul would get to rumbling.
yeah,
And I was like, it did something to me. And I think that's why I fell in love with hearing people laugh from
yeah.
being around my dad and my
Mm,
uncles. Like
mm,
I can't explain it, but that became something that's part of like creating that environment for everybody became something that I just automatically just do.
mm.
It's weird to explain. I can't explain that well. Sorry if you're like, what is he talking about? I can't explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a resonance. There's a resonance to the way that black people, black men in particular, laugh. There's there's yeah. I mean, one of my favorite comedy experiences. was at the Ambrosia Theater in the east side of Grand Rapids,
Yeah.
and I went in there and you know it was a church show, so I walked in and um and like as soon as I came up on stage, I got a video of it, and you can hear the audience. As soon as I came up on stage, they didn't know who was coming up, but I come up
Yeah.
on stage, and the first thing you hear is, "Ooh, they got a white boy coming up on stage."
That is funny.
And then I get up on stage and I said, "Man, I'm double dipping on Jesus today. You know, I was at church this morning and now I'm here tonight at a church show." I said, "There's some differences though." And then I just stopped. Oh, and the room
Boom.
blew up, like, laughed. I'm like, "Oh, this is what it's supposed to be like? All right."
Dude, yeah, brother. Yeah.
Oh, man. And then, of course, I said, there was more white people at my church. And there was one other white person that was in the audience, and I was like, "Yeah, by more, I mean more than one." And I was
Yeah.
like, "What's up, pound it?" And we did a fist pound, and
Boom.
oh, dude. Yeah, certainly one of my favorite experiences in comedy, but there's a resonance to the laughter.
Yeah,
Like, and again, of course, all things comedy, if there's tension and then laughter releases that tension, the
right.
more tension there is, the better that laugh is. And it was tense. I mean,
Yeah.
that phrase of, "Ooh, they got a white boy coming up," like there was tension. Like, what is this
Absolutely.
gonna be? And of
That
course, if
is
it didn't
funny.
go well, it would have been it would have been bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
But you um you perform in front of a lot of primarily white audiences, correct?
I do. I do.
Yeah. And what's that
And
experience like?
oh, dude, I walking in like, man, I feel like Tiger Woods at the Masters. Obama in the White House. That's what I feel like right now.
uh,
It's funny, man. My audiences, it's they laugh hard, but I listen to my audience laugh, and I'm like, y'all not there yet.
yeah,
Y'all not
yeah.
there, and I feel like a lot of times I say this, man. Y'all gotta feel free to laugh. Let your laugh out. And one day I took a guy on the road with me. Scott Smyer is his name. Took him on the road to open for me. And so it was at a mixed church, black church, but they had this community event. So it's about, half and half. And I said, so I did my hey, y'all gotta laugh speech. Just let your laugh out. Probably a fourth of the way through my routine. And then I probably did it half of the way. And Scott, after the show, Scott said, "Man, Jason, you kind of were telling the people to laugh a lot, but they were laughing." I said to Scott, they weren't laughing.
Yeah.
He said, "Man, that black woman stood up, threw her hands up, and threw them at you?" And I said, "But she sat down." He was like, what do you mean?" And I pulled up a clip of Def Comedy Jam and Bernie Mac performing. And it's a classic. Bernie Mac gets up. Now, what you got to know is Def Comedy Jam was known for eating great comedians lunch.
Ooh,
Like
yeah.
if you weren't like at a certain level funny, it's like they gonna get them off the stage, just like they would
Right.
eat your lunch.
Yeah.
And that was out in the comedy locker rooms, in the green rooms. Like, like what's the name went to Def Comedy Jam and got booed. Like, what? The legend? So this happened. So then Bernie Mac comes out there and says, "I ain't scared of you, mother bleep, bleep, bleep. Kick it." And the DJ started playing to me. He started dancing awkwardly. Dude, the place erupted. He had cut off the music and he'd tell another joke that'll kill it. He like, kick it. Boom. I ain't scared. And dude, Def Comedy, you see people getting up, running around, laughing. I said, Scott, that's a laugh.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's so for me, because of my experience in the black church and in the black community, even though I cross over going to Hispanic churches, white clubs, white Hispanic Hispanic clubs or events. It's just a difference, and I'm like, yo, it's like we can. I know what laughter is like for y'all. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
'Cause, man, there's nothing like telling a joke and seeing people literally, which is my goal, is to see people laugh till it hurts, stomach
Oh
bent
yeah.
over, gut busting. In my community, one term of endearment when you really made people laugh is, "You stupid." Like when somebody says that, "You're a fool." Like when
Yeah.
somebody says, "Like, thank you." Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Just in my, if I come to your church, tell people don't say that. I'm gonna be upset. Yeah, so it's like so I tell people, man, I do in my comedy career, I realize this. Like I want to have a maximum impact with people. Comedy is like food. My grandma makes some great soul food. And my grandma's soul food, or there's a restaurant out here called Rudy's Chicken, Sweet Georgia Browns, South Dallas Cafe. Those are 3 soul food restaurants. They're great. I love them. I need to take about 3 blood pressure pills before I go eat the food. But it's really great. It's a staple in the black community. But that food has a limit in terms of the people that it can impact.
Yeah.
Like it won't be a Luby's or Piccadilly's Cafe. I don't know what the old cafeteria restaurants. They serve the same food, but it's just a different seasoning.
Yeah.
And so I realized, like, man, I can be the Sweet Georgia Browns, the the Rudy's, the South Dallas Cafe. I can be that with my comedy, and quite frankly, I would love to just do that. But I realized, like, if I'm gonna service a different audience, then I got to take out a little bit of the seasoning.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
got to make sure, like, you know what, like most people don't like that much seasoning salt, Lawry's,
Yep.
on
Yeah.
their food. So I still
Yeah.
put it on there,
Yeah.
but you just don't get all of it. So
Right. Right.
the challenge as a comedian is this: making sure for all of us in any art, making sure you're being your true authentic self.
Yeah.
Because when you're your true authentic self, then the crowd that love you for your authentic self, they come and follow you. And
Yeah.
that's why I recorded 7 jokes I couldn't tell at church. That's probably people who know me well. It was like,
Yeah.
finally, that's the introduction to comedian Jason Earls comedy special was good. Recorded in front of 7,000 people. That's great.
Yeah.
But this 7 jokes I couldn't tell at church, Jason, like that's the guy that we really know right there.
Yeah. 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 That's I mean, there's so much there to unpack.
Yeah.
Being your authentic self, but being your authentic self with an understanding of the audience, because in comedy or anything for that matter, we have to have a common frame of reference that we're talking to people. And if we blow out with the seasoning, there's no longer that frame of reference.
Right. Or if you don't use any seasoning. Just
Right.
FYI to my
Yeah, that's true, and
But
yeah,
that's
but
the beauty.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and it can't be pandering, like
Right.
yeah, like it can't be, okay, I'm gonna pretend I'm you,
Right.
But yeah, because that doesn't work. That's no good.
And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, just from my vantage point, why the Soapstone Comedy Club has gotten to where it is. Because this dude on the other side of this camera, like again from day one, it's your authenticity. And in that room is has spilled over to everyone else. Even those who come in who may not understand it right away, they wind up like, okay, I need to change my pilot a little bit. It's like here's what they're serving here.
Hmm.
And it's authentic to the unemployed alcoholic.
Well, thank you for that. And you're right. The group of I see that also when I look at the group of people that's involved.
Yeah.
It's you know, Chimera. I know
I was
you.
about to say, yes, yes. Talk about her, please.
Man, oh man. So
Sheesh.
a little while back, like she messaged me and she said, "Hey, do you mind if I do a painting of the soapstone and the people in the soapstone?" I'm like, "Do I mind? That's what you're born to do, girl. Do it."
Absolutely. A bird's
And
got to fly. You better paint.
that's yeah, that's right. But man, and of course, earlier this week, I received the painting and I got to open it up and get my first peek at it, and it's beautiful. It is truly a work of art, um, and like her appreciation of the people that are in the soapstone that she painted, it just comes through. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome, and she told me it was coming, and she's like, please record when you open it because I want to see. I want to
Yeah.
see uh I want to see your face.
Right.
And this painting means so much to her and it means so much to me. Like and we recorded the video and it was a fun video, but it was also I feel like it was a moving video and it encapsulates that.
Yeah.
It's that appreciation of her being authentically her and contributing her talents to just appreciate what's happening at the soapstone. It's
And
wild.
that is art.
Mm,
Like the truest sense of art is it captures the essence of the artist and the essence of the time. So you can look back in history, you can look at an art piece and pretty much you should be able to tell that art get that artist's interpretation what was happening in that period of time that the art was painted.
mm-hmm.
That's true art right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And that's why I think, as comedians, we shouldn't shy away from talking about certain subjects because people look back doing and they'll be able to see what's going on during the times. Nevertheless, dude, when I was looking at that and how she captured the time of the evolution, the evolving of the Soapstone Comedy Club, I was blown
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you set it up. I was like, Aaron is a comedic genius. The way that you, and I don't know if you like, and this is how you know when you start asking these questions, like, did he do that on purpose? That was great. That was that plan. Dude, when you had that first box and you opened it, it was just shoes. Dude, how disappointed you the way that you just like pure husband dad. Like it was shoes, a bunch of crap. Let's throw that away.
That's funny. So that just like most things, that was a genuine moment that was reproduced. You know,
Yeah,
so what it was is Renee says, "Hey, your package is here." So I come down and there's two packages there, and then the one's a big box, and I pick it up and I look at it and I'm like, "Oh, this is just those shoes that we ordered." And then
yeah.
I pick up the other one, and I'm like this, and then I was like, "Ooh, that moment right there."
Oh, it's
That's
so
I
good.
gotta capture that. So yeah, I mean, I knew it was shoes as I was opening up the box.
Yeah. A
But
note to all the writers and artists out there. Capture the context of raw human emotions and then reproduce that
yeah.
in an artistic form. Dude, so great, dude.
Except for my wife watched it. She's like, "You knew there were shoes in that box. What are you doing?" And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. Renee, please let us be us.
right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
always tell my
yeah,
wife, just let me live, please.
yeah. And here's the real spillover though that
Yeah.
like that it got me in trouble this morning. So yesterday I filmed that, but like I threw those boxes of shoes off to the side, and then at one point there's some garbage on the table, and I just like sweep it onto the floor. Like I didn't clean that up,
Dude,
and I got yelled at this morning.
I'm gonna tell you what was so funny. I noticed it because it was the top to the deal
Yeah.
and some little piece. I know exactly, and it was on the side of that chair. Because
Yeah.
when you did that, I was like, I heard my wife's voice. I was like, oh, he just
Yeah.
did that right there. I couldn't do that. I couldn't get
Yeah.
away with that because I would leave it there. That is hysterical, bro.
Yeah. Well, and that was intentional too. You know, like again, like it wasn't like totally scripted, but it was like, okay, like this shows how important this thing is. Like, boom, I'm just
Right.
pushing this other stuff out of the way. You know. So,
That is great. By the way, your knife handling skills, uh, you need to work on. That's what I said.
Your package opening skills. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yeah, I and that's a good knife. I probably should. That's a my kids, all three of my kids pitched in and got that for me for my birthday. And you know, it's a Benchmade blade. It's really nice. I probably like you know, it probably deserves quite a bit better handling than I
Absolutely.
was doing.
That's funny. I was like, look at him. Yeah, brother, don't get in a knife fight. Like, dang.
That's
We know who's gonna lose.
that's right. I'll end up politely asking for the knife back.
Right. That's funny, man. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I cracked up. That was just such a great video, man. What did I say? I said something about I'm trying to find a comment here because I thought it was very well worded by me. Not to toot my own horn. It was I came up with something
Yeah,
clever.
yeah.
I thought it was funny. I said either it's your unpacking skills.
You were
I can't remember what I said, and
yeah.
I can't find it.
It
Never
wa
mind.
it was it was a good comment though. I LOL'd it, so
Thanks. That nothing like after all your writing efforts, somebody just simply writes
LOL.
LOL.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I accidentally typed OLO, the other day, and I don't
That is funny.
yeah, and I think maybe that's a Midwest thing, out loud, "Oop."
Oh, yeah, that's a Midwest thing, brother.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but man, so it was so cool to, be able to make that video to, honor Chimera and her
So
the work
good.
that she did on that, and that but, you know, that those 2 paintings, they're in the at the framer right now, getting framed
I
and
was hoping so because those are
oh,
classics,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Those are
and
classics.
I went up there and the lady says, are these valuable?" And I said, "They're priceless." You know,
Wow.
and then I got to talk a little bit about, the soapstone and virtual reality, and I mean and by the end of the conversation, she's handling him with reverence, you know, she's like,
Right.
"Oh, okay, all right, we really gotta take care of these." And I'm like,
And
"What
she's
what are
like,
you"
and your price went up, by the way.
That's right, yeah, which it did actually, because there's a couple different framing techniques, and it's like, okay, you know, are we gonna are we gonna frame this the quick and easy way, or are we gonna frame this the right way? And we're gonna frame it the right way because it's priceless.
Yeah, I can't, man. I can't. Instantly as soon as you opened them, and I said, "Holy smokes, where's he gonna hang these?"
Yeah,
Like this is, yeah, that's good stuff
it's gonna be
right
right
there.
back here.
That's
Yep,
great, bro.
yep, yep. where it's going to be right back
That's
there,
great.
and the two of them. And there's my sister is an artist, and the picture hanging back there now is hers. And I've got a
Oh,
couple more of hers that I'm going to incorporate. Basically, that whole wall back there behind me is going to be different pictures that are very meaningful to me.
I was about to
Uh,
say, oh, sorry, sister. You'll
yeah,
appreciate
right,
this.
right.
Cool.
Yeah, you've been bumped.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can. Yeah. Thanks, Chimera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I actually on that point though, I do have she sent me two prints as well, and I can send those off to you if you want to have those.
No, man, you dude. No, it's because all prints are different. The prints are,
No, they're prints. I, I've got the original,
oh, okay. Look
and
at it.
I would love to for you to have that the print.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Thanks, brother.
Cool, cool. Oh, you know what? Something else. Like, so people's talent in the soapstone, like it amazes me. This happened yesterday too. A guy that I know that like he's an in real life puppeteer. Like,
Yeah.
which I told my wife that, and she's like, "What world do you live in?" I'm like, "It's virtual reality. This is how we
Right.
roll." I said, "My man trained under Kermit the Frog. Like he really did. Like,
Wow.
he was."
Oh boy, look! I love Kirby.
Is
That's Elmo.
Kermit or Miss Piggy?
That's Elmo. It's Elmo.
Elmo. Oh, okay. All
Uh,
right.
hey,
But
I got a few. I got a few. Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
yeah,
He trained under Kermit,
he did. He did. Yeah.
so he was like trained under Kermit, like he was laying on the floor while they were.
Well, he was the log, like in the Rainbow Connection song where Kermit's sitting on the
Oh,
log. Yeah, he's the
yeah,
log. No,
that's hysterical.
yeah, but his name's Paul Lewis, and this guy called me up. Like he made this world. He made this world called classic comedy, and it walks through Abbott and Costello, and it walks through um, it walks through all the classic comedians, and there's
Mm,
little history and clips and stuff, and I saw that and put a door to it in the soapstone, and we started we became friends, and now like I've just got such respect for his work, and so he called me up and he said, "Hey, I made a puppet for the soapstone. It's called Johnny Soapstone, and I want you have it for in the soapstone."
yeah,
And sure enough, like we imported it in, and like people love this thing. It's so cool. It's
he's
so
got
cool.
legs. Like finally, some. I thought that was
Somebody's
the
got
funniest
legs.
thing. Somebody's got legs in the metaverse. Wow,
Hmm.
that is great. I
Yeah.
gotta. I only saw the pictures. I gotta get in there and see
Oh yeah, yeah.
soapstone.
He's backstage sitting on the couch, which actually freaks me out every time I go through the portal to go backstage, and he's sitting on the couch, and I'm like, oh,
That's funny. And
yeah.
if you don't know everybody, yeah, so some people have access to backstage. Oh, does everybody's have
Yeah, we opened it up so everybody's got access to
interesting because I
backstage.
don't.
Well, yeah, yeah, well, not through the stage. Not like only certain people could go through the stage, but there's a
Uh
portal out front that says backstage access, everybody welcome. So people gotta kind of be aware of their surroundings,
yeah,
which does filter out like some of the kids,
right.
which is fine, because they don't they, you know uh, kids don't need to be playing with puppets. That's for us grown-ups.
Listen, nothing worse than the soapstone when a kid comes in, got a broom and just keeps poking you with it.
That's right. Yeah, and there's like it's that toss up because there's people that I mean, part of the thing of virtual reality is grown-ups get to go in there and play. You
Yeah,
know, we get to go play barista and deliver coffee cups. We get
that's
to grab
yeah,
the lantern and walk around outside and explore. We get to
right.
grab a puppet and do a puppet show. We get to jump on tables sometimes. Like it's
Yeah,
like we get to play, and then kids come in and they try to ruin it by
right.
playing.
Absolutely. Oh I'm not your friend anymore.
I've had some really fun interactions with kids in there, like, hey buddy, man, I appreciate you being here, but you gotta find another world, and then just that awkward pause, and then a microphone thrown right in my face.
That is funny. I hate you.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude,
Yeah.
have you ever known a grown person to use that phrase? You're not my friend anymore. That is
We should use it more
right.
often.
You're exactly right. You're not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah. Oh man. Good stuff, man. Well, you know, what is happening this week for you? And then we'll actually, you know what? Let's just stop that. I think
Hey,
that we're
we didn't get any stats, man.
oh, yeah, that's right. We got stats to talk about, and
Yeah,
they're
we got
good,
let's
and
do
they're
some
good
data.
because good things are happening,
Yeah,
and you know, it's funny because we're getting to the point in the development of the soapstone that we can't even talk publicly about all of the cool things that are happening. You know,
so good.
there's uh, there's conversations happening that can't be public knowledge,
Yeah,
and that's cool.
that is so cool.
Yeah,
The
there's
secret society.
yeah. So man, there's good stuff happening, and stats wise, we're up well above 60,000 visitors total now.
Let's go. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah. And I mean, we just hit 50,000, and it was
That's
like
what I was
this.
about to say, dude. Hold
Yeah,
on. Wait,
yeah.
like are we at the getting compounding interest points now?
uh, s-
Cuz it took I don't know how many months to get to 50,000.
right.
But now excuse me. Now it seems like in 2-3 weeks?
It's yeah. I think. Well, here. I mean, I can look back and yeah. Okay, so 5 weeks ago, we hit 50,000.
So
So so in 5 weeks, we have had 20% growth,
right.
which that's huge. 20% growth in a little over a month.
And how long did it take us to get to 50,000 from
Uh,
opening day?
well, that was at our 10th, or no, that was our 11th podcast. So, and we started our podcast
Wow.
at about zero. So it took 11 weeks or about 3 months to get to 50,000, and then
Wow.
yeah, so it's I mean it's growing, and there's a lot of factors involved with that.
Yeah.
It's there's not a secret sauce that, hey, this is how you reach you know 60,000 people in 15 weeks.
Right.
um, there, much of it is not reproducible.
Yeah.
It's being in the right place at the right time, and having some people recognize what's happening, and figure out win-win situations.
Yeah.
So it's growing though, and no, this is public knowledge. This is absolutely public knowledge. But Horizon Worlds is looking at coming out with a desktop or with a computer application.
Really?
And when that happens, we're going to very quickly go right back into exponential growth
Really?
because the number of users will go through the roof.
So how's that gonna work?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I just know that there was an article published with a quote saying that it's coming.
Yeah.
But I suspect it's going to be more of an observational role
Ah,
where people can get in and experience it. But then it's my suspicion is it'll whet the appetite, to be immersed in it. Uh,
like like you can get at Jason Earls' newest video release. Just go to youtube.com/Jason Earls.
that's right. You
Yeah,
can,
and
yeah,
you can
and
see
then you can get the tour.
that. Cause yeah, it's so I had a graphic designer come to the house,
Uh-huh.
and well, we actually met at a coffee spot. And meeting at this coffee spot, I started telling him about the metaverse, and he was like, "So what is it like?" And I was like, "Dude, let's just go to my house.
Yeah.
It's better if I show you
Yep.
than tell you." So he came over to in my creative space, and I said, and this dude is he's a, what do you call it? He's a creative pastor for a church. Like that's his title. Like all things creativity.
Cool.
And he's a video guy, everything. So graphic design. So I let him watch the video. I just started showing him. I said, "This is the video I'm working on."
But by the way, is this a guy that I might know through the Celebrate Recovery circles?
No.
Okay. All right.
So dude, man, he set up and he's like, "Oh wow, wow." And he looked at me. He said, "Jason, this is interesting. This is very good. I want to watch more." I was like, "Whoa, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was cool." But my point in bringing that up is I get why they're doing that if that's what they're gonna do, because so many people just like watching it. It's the adult version of kids watching people play video games.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and people again, it comes back to what has been kind of the theme of this conversation. You've got to have the familiarity and reference point in order to understand it or appreciate the seasoning.
Yep.
And there's so much, like you and I have been immersed in the culture of virtual reality, and we've experienced it, but people who haven't, they don't have that frame of reference. So this is like a good gateway seasoning
Right.
to get people to see it and then probably jump in and experience it.
Absolutely. So cool.
Yeah, yeah. Total speculation on the what, how, and where and why there, but that's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay
that's
for us to
okay. Hey,
speculate.
absolutely. Like we'll see if we're right.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Anybody want to, anybody want to make wages on it? I'm just playing.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, if that is steak dinner on Aaron. No.
That's right. Well, and there's a slight delay between us recording and publishing. So if if it turns out to be right, then we'll be prophetic. If
Absolutely.
it turns out to be wrong, we'll be pathetic.
Right.
All right, man. This has been a good conversation. Once again, we covered some ground,
We
brother.
did. As we were talking, I was like, wow, we here, there, wow, but it's good.
Yeah, yeah. This is, and I know from talking with people, um, people are appreciating listening to these
Yeah.
conversations, and not just because of the metaverse aspects of it, but because of the things that we can get into and get deep on.
Which, by the way, I have an idea. Putting these on Instagram Live.
So I'm all about it. Yeah, let's.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you know how to do that?
I do.
Oh, let's do it.
Don't.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.